my name is Kyra, and I'm an improviser, which means usually I come up on stage, and what I do is I have so many stories in my life that I just ask for a suggestion, and then I'll just roll with a story. But this time Kumar asked me to come up, and I hadn't been here for a long time, so I said, I feel like I don't want to do that. I might go into just telling the story like I always do towards the end, but I would like to start with a device which probably Sophie will know. Any of you that write will know. They're called anaphoras. Has anybody heard of an anaphora?
Yeah!
Okay. Yeah! It's a lyrical device that a lot of people that are storytellers, that are public speakers, singer-songwriters, people that write movies, anywhere where you will hear a good speech or a good story. It is used, it is a repetition at the beginning of every sentence. There's different ways of using them. And at the moment, because I teach improv, I have a class, and at the moment we're going into big monologues, and I've done so many monologues with them, and I'm doing anaphora ones, and I said to myself, I want to try an anaphora one to tell this story, because this story tonight, I don't really speak about it. It's very close to me. It's my past. Those are the rules. It's going to be about you. So yes, this one's about me. And I thought it's a perfect way to tell the story, at least to start telling the story, because I can use it as a device to help me get through it, to even be able to tell it. And that is the strength of an anaphora, which I will try out with you as guinea pigs tonight. At some point, because I didn't finish it, I just started this morning, I will let that go and just tell you the rest of the story. See how much time I have left. All right. This is a bit high. Can I get this a little bit lower? This is, thanks, Mel. Just a little bit. Yeah, that's better. I think so, yeah. Thank you. Okay. When I was little, barely 4, I was a super healthy, playful and cheerful child. When I was that little, me, along with my 4 other siblings, moved to England. When I was 4, my world turned upside down. I got a fever of over 40 degrees. I got to the hospital, I got electrical cords, countless needles jabbed or attached to my tiny body, over 27 tests, and fell into a coma. My little organs stopped functioning as my immune system rejected every medical method. My little life now depended on machines and an incubated glass cabinet that separated me from the outside world. My little conscious brain switched itself back on after 7 days, finding myself unable to move my limbs. I was caught in this hospital. I was caught in my body. I was caught in a nightmare. I could hear doctors and nurses mumble a language I didn't understand, and I could hear busy footsteps and screeching wheels of mobile beds in the corridor. I could hear screams of pain from the other rooms and the occasional soothing cry of the other children. I could hear the cleaners mop the floors or polish my glass prison from the outside. I could hear my mum weeping on the outside of my glass cage, now separating us. I could smell disinfectants. I could smell hospital food served 3 times a day to others. I was fed IV fluids. I would start to smell who was entering my room based on the scent of people. I could smell my own pee bag. I could see the entry to my room's door on a good day. I could see the concerned and confused faces of doctors and nurses at Visita every morning on a good day. I could see the bright and blinding hospital lights on my ceiling on a good day. I could see my mum's hope giving that brave and warm face, sometimes a forced smile, on a good day. On a usual day, I saw the pastel green-coloured wall of my room only 1 metre away. On a usual day, I might have seen a part of the window in my room, revealing glimpses of what weather we had. And on a usual day, after washing me with a flannel, my head was placed without much thought or consideration in any random position. They were tight on staff, but they got the job done. On a bad day, my head was placed for me to see the large needles, a scalpel heading for another part of my body, or the bandages that were torn off my skin, taking off large pieces of the skin crust with blood seeping out beneath. On a bad day, I saw my mum crying and couldn't reach out to hug her or stop her from worrying. I closed my eyes and pretended I was sleeping. It was easier to pretend I was dead. I felt dead inside this paralyzed body. I felt dead because no one was helping me understand what was going on. I felt dead because no one would hear me if I needed something or if I cried. I felt dead because I couldn't do anything. Couldn't move, couldn't play, couldn't sing or dance. I couldn't be normal. I had to adapt to my new life, my new normal. I had to accept it. I had to overcome it. I had to be strong and I had to endure it. But I also questioned it. I questioned why I was ill, what made me ill, why I was not recovering, why my body was not able to move anymore. And I questioned God. I was full. I believed in God at the time. I believed he was punishing me, and I believed he had done me wrong. But I'd also believed that I had done wrong, and this was my punishment. But I couldn't think what for. I think I needed someone to blame. I think I needed someone to relieve me of this pain. And I think I needed someone to tell me why, how long, and how I could get out of this state. What did I need to do? What did I miss? What kind of lesson was God trying to teach me? I hated him. I turned away from him. I felt abandoned and disregarded. He turned away from me. I was only 4 the first time I questioned God. Didn't think much about God before then, but I knew my mother was a believer. She would sit by my bed outside of the glass cage. She would read me stories, anything, when I was awake, consciously. I was in a vegetative state. That means for me I was a vegetable. I could think and I could hear, but I couldn't move anything. Stories became my everything. Stories helped me imagine what life was like outside. Stories became vivid in my mind. And when they were over, I would carry them on in my mind. I asked my mother, why? Why did God do this to me? And she would smile and she'd say, no, this has got nothing to do with God. And I'd say, yes, it has. She'd say, no, he's a good person. He's not bad, he's good, he's everywhere, he's full of love, he loves you. And I'd say, no, he hates me. He can't be good because no God that does this to anybody can be good. He is evil. How can you talk of love? She'd always say, no, this is a test. He's testing you. You are one of the special ones. There's a message, you have to believe that you'll recover. My mother would say, it's not so easy with God. You can't see him. You can't ask him. But you must believe that love is the question, because God is love. He wants you to love yourself more. He wants you to love your skin. You will repair, but you have to love yourself, even in this state. I was 4. And I certainly didn't love myself. I hated my body. I was so disconnected. I hated every part of the day. I was 3 years in that coma, 3 years in that cage. There were good days though, when I got a little bit better. Some methods were working. I could suddenly move my arms again. Couldn't move the rest of my body. But my arms, my fingers were working. And the first thing I asked for was pastels or crayons. And I would start just painting everything I thought of, everything. I didn't know what the world out there looked like anymore, but I imagined it. And I was like some sort of psycho kid, just drawing one thing after the other and throwing a page away, and the next thing would go out. And every day there was pages and pages around me, colourful and bright, of what I thought the world would look like. Slowly as well, my mother would keep repeating that for me to recover, especially my skin, our biggest organ, I hardly had any left of it because it wasn't replacing itself. So I was a bit like a see-through person. I only had 1 or 2 layers left, and every time I'd accidentally bump myself, it would spring open and blood would be everywhere. So I had to wear bandages, and I looked more like a Michelin man. I was a mummy or something. But she'd always say, you have to unwrap yourself carefully. You have to stroke your skin. You have to learn to love yourself, because if you love your skin and you stroke your skin, it'll love you back. I believed her, and I always stroked myself. I stroked my skin, and it's difficult. Certainly wasn't allowed to itch it. At night they would tie me to my bed so I couldn't itch myself. It's quite a torture. Slowly though, very slowly, I came out of that. Towards the last year, things started getting better. And I was allowed to slowly stand up and do some physio, and I could walk again. My body was coming back to me. I started loving my body every single day. Every new movement I made, I rejoiced. I don't know today if I believe in God. I still question him every single day. But I do believe in love. And I do believe that love is what got my body back. And learning to love my body at the age of 4 was pretty hard and weird. But it taught me a lesson to never stop that, no matter how life turns out to be. I was paralyzed at 4 for 3 years. Strangely, when I got out, you can imagine all I wanted to do was dance. I wanted to move. So I danced. I became a dancer. I didn't want to express myself. I just wanted to express myself with my body, because I was so happy that I could move again. I danced and every day, and it became my profession. Studied it, and every day I danced. I loved my life. When I was 27, I was at a rehearsing with my dance partner. I danced classic ballet and contemporary. And we were practicing early in the morning, and he accidentally dropped me whilst we were practicing. But we were on the side of the stage, and he didn't drop me onto the stage, accidentally into the orchestra. It was almost 3 meters. I woke up in the hospital again. A doctor glaring at me said, "This time it's over. You're in a wheelchair." Questioned God again is the first thing I thought about. Motherfucker. Second time, how dare you? The good thing was, I said, I'm not staying in a wheelchair, forget that. Took me 2 years to get out of that wheelchair. Again, through love and patience. I'm walking without a limp. I can even jump. I can't jog anymore, I can't dance professionally. But I can move. I can love myself for being able to move. Not long ago, after recovering from all of that, I thought, well, I've had it twice, been paralyzed twice. 19 bones were broken with the accident, my dance accident. Surely nothing can happen again. But all good things are 3 times. And not so long ago, during the pandemic, I overworked. I'm very passionate. When I do something, I don't stop. I hit the wall. And I got burnout from one day to the other. I didn't feel anything anymore. I didn't have feelings. Everything was numbed out. Everything. My body was functioning, but none of my feelings. It was so somatic that when I would go and try and grab a glass, it would just fall down. I went out to do normal grocery shopping, and suddenly I'd find myself in the middle of the street questioning, what am I doing? What do I need? Why am I here? Completely lost. But I have to sit down on a bench, breathe, and figure it out. I couldn't feel anything. No anger, no pain, no joy. Everything went grey. Everything I loved about life, which is so colourful usually, and I love humans and I love everything about it, but when it becomes grey, you don't like it anymore. And I thought, this is another form of paralysation. Because you're not taking part. You can't do anything. And you want to leave. You want to stop it all. I didn't know how I was going to get out of it. But I did. I got myself some help. And it took a good 2.5 years. I'm still fighting it. But I'm not going to give up. If God exists, fucking come with a 4th thing. I don't know how else you're going to paralyze me. I'm not going to stop fighting. I love life. And things are becoming colourful again. Thank you very much for listening.